2. The Ambush. They moved slowly down the staircase and entered the main corridor. Nathan spotted his team scattered on the floor. They were all dead. He stopped Christian and pushed him back. He didn't want the young man to see this. There was too much death, and his mind would not be able to handle such a sight. They moved in the other direction, hoping to reach the back of the property, when they were confronted by a group of black suits. They fired, and Nathan grabbed Christian, shielding and pushing him back around the corner of the corridor. He shoved Christian back and gave a few shots around the corner, even if they were only warning blows. He didn't want them to get any closer.
"Give it up, Nathan. All we want is the heir. You can live. What's his life worth to you? Your own? Come on."
The voice echoed off the walls. He recognized the voice, an old friend from their days in the military. Apparently, they had both taken the same type of work, but he ended up protecting the heir, and his old acquaintance was there to take the same man.
"Why, Joseph, why?" "Oh, come on, Nathan. Do you really have to ask me that? I'm tired, aren't you? I mean, come on. What have we returned to? This? They're expecting us to return to normal. You and I are not made for this. We're fighters. Warriors. You and I are made for more. We can't go back to normal? Shit, what do we know about normal?"
He laughed.
"Death is our normal."
"That's bullshit, Joseph."
"Is it? There's no point in dying over this. Why don't you join us? There's better money to be made at kidnapping."
Their laughter mocked Nathan. He fired, taking one down. That got their attention.
"Fuck it then, have it your way. Tráelo," he heard in Spanish.
Who else was he working for? A cartel? "Get back, Christian," he told the young man. "I want you to go."
"And leave you? No way, I will not."
"I said go," he growled. From around the corner, he heard the sounds of clicking and immediately knew what was happening. Christian hesitated, and Nathan turned to him, barking an angry order. He knew he was being cruel, but he was trying to protect the other man. "Go!" he yelled again. Christian stumbled away, but almost immediately the firing began. Nathan raced away, just as the few shots hit where he had been standing. He leaped and grabbed Christian, ducking behind a water fountain, just as the bullets flew past them. A man emerged with a machine gun, firing into the long corridor.
"You don't have to die for him, Nathan. Just give us what we want and I'll let you walk out."
Christian was shaking uncontrollably.
"Maybe you should do as he said. I don't want—"
he whispered. "Not another word, Christian," Nathan firmly told him, while moving over to the side of the fountain to see if he could spot an escape route. Christian's slim lips curved at the corners. He felt warmed by Nathan's concern. Nathan definitely wasn't like that in the beginning. It had been a major jump from the cruel bodyguard to the loyal, protective man Christian saw in front of him. Nathan spun and steadied his gun, aiming for the man with the machine gun, striking him in the shoulder. His shot knocked the man back, and bullets rained down as he fell backward and struck a few of his crew behind him. Nathan fired again. The bullet struck the man in the throat, though not before one of the man's bullets hit Nathan in the side. Nathan dropped back, tightly holding his wound as he collapsed to the floor. Christian kneeled next to him. There was fear in his eyes.
"Nathan, no!"
Everything around Nathan became a haze, and he could no longer hear the voices or bullets. Christian was reaching toward him in panic. He was crying, his eyes filled with terror. All Nathan could feel was the dull pain in his side, crawling up his arm. His fingers edged over the wound, and he could feel the liquid drench his hand. It was blood. He felt dizzy, about to lose consciousness. He wanted to sleep, but he couldn't. He couldn't leave Christian alone. He had to protect him. He loved him.
"Don't leave me,"
the young man cried. Christian dropped his face onto Nathan's neck to hold him. Nathan blinked his eyes open. The touch of his young man had awakened far more than his senses. He felt the young man's lips against his neck, his own warm mouth pressing so tenderly upon the side of Christian's cheek, taking in his scent. "I love you, Nathan. Please, don't leave me," Christian sobbed. "I know you can't, because you're protecting me, but I don't care. You're the only person I have ever cared about. The only person I've ever loved." Christian pulled away, staring at him. Nathan reached up and touched his face. He wanted to tell him so much, if he could. He would take him far from here. "I'm not brave enough," the young man uttered. "Christian, you're braver than the toughest soldier I know. Even me." Nathan gazed up with dreamy, moonstruck eyes. A grin spread over his crooked mouth. "Help me up." Christian did as he requested. He lifted Nathan slowly and pulled him to his feet. Nathan stood, and the younger man reached to kiss him. Only then did he pull away, realizing what he had done, afraid that Nathan would object to his affections. But the tough soldier, the disciplined, brawny Nathan, merely smiled, gently caressing Christian's face. He moved, pulling the dazed Christian alongside him. The young man stumbled behind him, and they hurried toward the other side of the mansion. It was far too quiet now. At the far side, Nathan spotted the open door leading to the hangar path. If they could get to the part of the property where the helicopter was located, Christian would be safe. Unfortunately, it was too dangerous to head on foot into the wooded area surrounding the property. The only other way was through the underground tunnels that led into the world of mazes under the mansion. The tunnels split in various directions, but only one led to the helicopter hangar, and Nathan knew he had to get Christian there safely. They neared the entrance. He pushed open the door, ushered Christian out, and pulled the young man alongside him toward the stable. They approached and ducked into one of the stalls. There was another way to enter the tunnels inside the mansion, but with all the invaders, the only way was inside the horse stable. He patted the white horse as he moved around him to the back, pushing away the hay that hid the entrance to the tunnel below. "What are you doing?" Christian asked. Then he saw the metal entrance. "I never knew this was here." "That's the point. Your father had it created just for emergencies." Nathan pulled open the hatch, and he struggled dragging it up, with the throbbing wound in his side. Christian came to stand next to him and helped him lift the door. Nathan seemed taken aback by the young man's nurturing manner. Christian looked over at Nathan and smiled. "It's actually not that heavy," Christian said in regards to Nathan's questioning eyes and curious wonder. "Oh," Nathan responded and blushed, but moved away to avoid Christian's blue eyes. The metal fell back and he motioned Christian in first. A long ladder led the way down to a dimly lit tunnel below. There were metal cargo boxes sitting along the walls of the tunnel. He knew most were filled with weapons, a heavy arsenal, as Christian's father was in the general business of arms, though mainly in the pharmaceutical industry. Christian's grandfather's company had been a leader in the creation of an important drug that had saved a lot of lives, and he had made it available to the less fortunate. It was Christian's father that wanted to raise the prices. They dropped into the tunnel, and Nathan pulled Christian with him. The underground passageways that led to the hangar were dank and dim, water dripping from small cracks in the wall. They hadn't been well maintained. Little patches here and there covered what little leaks and cracks now riddled the walls. Nathan picked his radio up. He hadn't had much use for it until now. He wanted to keep the radio silenced, at least until it was necessary. He stopped near a section that split in two directions, pulling at Christian's arm when he didn't immediately stop. One tunnel continued straight to the hangar, and the other led to the other east wing of the mansion. These were the underground tunnels that were often used to bring in goods and avoid the media. Come in, Unit 2. Connor, can you read me? Silence. Again he tried. Anyone out there? Connor, come in. Nathan gasped as only static followed. Had no one survived? Hadn't the others called for backup? Then a faded voice replied from the other end. Hope.
Commander Mason, come in.
Yes, Connor? A sigh escaped Nathan's lips.
Connor is dead, sir.
He dropped his head. Christian watched him as he clutched his side.
This is Officer Carter.
Where are you, officer? Speak to me. What happened? Where is everyone?
We were ambushed, sir. Something went wrong. They knew where we would be. I'm thinking there was a spy, someone working on the inside, sir.
Nathan furrowed his brow, staring back at Christian. The young man didn't look surprised. He looked far more worried by the news. Scared now. Where are you, officer?
We're at the hangar now.
We're heading in your direction, Carter. I have the air.
You have 20 minutes, sir.
Then silence. 20 minutes? Nathan wrinkled his brow. What did that mean? What? What are you talking about, officer?
We've been ordered to rig the place, sir. Orders from the heads.
Rig the place? Officer, what are you saying?
The place, sir, it's rigged to blow. If we don't leave now, we aren't.
But we have to secure the air. That is our main objective.
I'm afraid not, sir. Our orders are to destroy the property if breached.
Nathan didn't understand.
You have less than 20 minutes to get to the hangar.
There was a sudden explosion from the other end. Nathan pulled the radio back from his face.
We're under attack,
he heard Carter yell. Static made it difficult to hear. He heard a horde of screaming and shooting. He gasped. Officer Carter, what's going on? Come in! Come in! There was static. Then the radio went dead. Carter! Officer Carter, answer me! Shit! Nathan threw the radio to the ground, and once again grabbed at his lower side. It was obvious what had happened. They had gotten to the helicopter, and the explosion more than likely was the helicopter going up in flames. Fucking bastards! Christian neared Nathan, and he looked troubled. We're not getting out of here alive, are we, Nathan? He gazed over at Christian. Don't speak like that. I'm not letting anything happen to you. I made you a promise. He grabbed at his side, groaning in pain. Christian reached for him at once. Nathan, you're really hurt. We need to stop the bleeding, Christian said as he knelt by him, tearing part of the sleeve of his expensive silk shirt. Nathan cringed as the pain returned. Christian began to wrap a portion of the cloth around his side. I'm fine, Nathan muttered. The only important thing is to get you out of here. He bit his lip as the pain throbbed down his lower side. No, you're not. You have to stop. Sometimes you can be so arrogant. I know you, Nath. Nathan blinked. He didn't say anything, merely watching Christian as he secured the cloth around his side to stop the flow of blood. You and I know what's happening here. I'm not a kid anymore. I might be young, but I know what's going on. Christian's blue eyes smiled back at him. Nathan knew Christian was an intelligent 20-year-old man. Young, yes, but no longer a child. He was older in mind and wiser in soul than most people Nathan knew. My grandfather left me a lot of money. The business, everything is mine. Nathan was hearing this for the first time, although he had suspected something like that. Most certainly, he didn't know Christian's father was now going to let him die here in order to secure what he possessed. I'm no idiot. Father wants me out of the way because he wants everything my grandfather left me. He can't do anything. He can't sell or change anything unless he owns it. For a long time, it was easy to take control of, but now he knows he's losing everything. I'm not letting him destroy what my grandfather left me. Christian collapsed against the wall. He's never cared about me.
And my grandfather knew it. That's why he left everything to me. He knew Father was no good, and he cut him out of the will. By the end of this year, he'll have no control of anything. And now he's desperate."
Nathan blinked. Now things started to come together. Get Christian out of the way and own everything, or end up losing everything once the year ended.
"But I don't want any of it, Nathan."
He turned to the soldier. Nathan was studying his features, examining his large, bright blue eyes. He had more heart than anyone he knew. He wasn't arrogant or selfish. For someone with such wealth, he acted like one with nothing.
"All I want is to be with you, Nathan. That's what I want."
Nathan was surprised. He didn't know what to say. He balanced himself carefully.
"I wanted to ask you something before all this started."
Nathan now was having a hard time looking up at Christian. The young man captivated him, and he felt paralyzed by his mere presence. How could a man of his stature, of his age, be so easily beguiled by someone so young? But Christian was not only lovely and beautiful, he was also very wise. And it was that mature respect for others that Nathan had fallen hard for. He might have been young, but he was kind and acted far older than his age. "This is not the time, Christian," he firmly said. Was he trying to avoid the feelings he held for Christian? And why? To protect Christian? To protect himself?
"This is the only time, Nathan,"
Christian stubbornly replied. Grabbing his arm suddenly, Nathan pushed him, and they were face to face now. He felt drawn to kiss him, and Christian seemed just as entranced, drawing closer. Nathan pushed at the soft locks of his dark hair, stroking his soft, tender cheek. Christian bit his lower lip. The gesture itself was hard to resist, and passion exploded within him, straining the fabric of his slacks. Nathan exhaled. He hated when Christian bit his lip, because it made him quiver, and the other man knew it. It revealed how weak and vulnerable Nathan really was. "Don't do that," he ordered the young man. "You know I don't like it when you do that. It's not proper." Christian stopped when he realized he had succeeded in getting to him.
"You need to know how I feel,"
Christian insisted. Nathan caressed his cheek tenderly. He felt weak around the young man. "I wish I could take you away from all this." He swallowed hard. Whatever else he wanted to say, he pushed away. He had already said too much. "It's better this way, Christian." Nathan moved away from him, leaving Christian with his back to the wall. Christian rushed over to him as Nathan spun back, confronted with the blue eyes of the young heir.
"It's not—"
Nathan pushed a hand over his mouth. Christian meant to protest when Nathan put his finger over his own lips to hush him. Christian listened. He also heard something. Voices from behind them alerted him almost immediately, and Nathan grabbed at Christian's arm, pulling him down the tunnel. "This way." The young man stumbled alongside him, and as they moved, he looked back. Christian's eyes were glued to the wound on Nathan's side. Nathan was leaving a trail of blood. The young man was worried. Nathan stopped near a section that split once more. He took out a few items from his suit. Bullets. There were only a few left.
"Nathan, what are we going to do?"
"What I said I was going to do. Get you out of here." He took out a second gun and added all the remaining bullets, then grabbing Christian's hand, he placed it gently in his palm. "I want you to take this." He caressed Christian's hand as he closed his fingers around the metal.
"What? No, what are you doing?"
"Listen to me. I need you to listen very carefully, Christian." He cupped Christian's face with both hands. The young man stopped, frozen by Nathan's touch. Tears pooled in the corner of his eyes. "I want you to start walking in that direction." Nathan pointed to his left. You listening?
Christian nodded his head slowly. The tears were now rolling down his face.
Nathan wiped at them. I'll be right behind you. You trust me?
Christian nodded again, with difficulty. Don't do this. Please, come with me.
I will. I promise.
You're a bad liar.
Nathan smiled. I won't let them hurt you. I want you safe. You've given me so much, Christian. It's because of you I've learned to love again. Nothing mattered until I met you.
He put his hand on the other man's cheek. Christian held his palm against his face. A sob broke through his lips, and at once Nathan wrapped his arms around Christian and held him tightly. I love you, he whispered into Christian's ear, then pulled back slowly. Their lips locked, and for a moment, Nathan couldn't let go. He didn't want to, as he gasped in agony. The pain now consuming him was not the pain in his side, but the one radiating from his aching heart. He fought with himself, releasing Christian. A breath escaped him, gnawing at him painfully. He pushed the young man back. Go, he said. Now. Christian moved. He looked back, then started running quickly as the voices grew louder.